So folks, the inauguration is coming up here very shortly, and I gotta tell you, I don't feel good about it. The fact that Trump already had an assassination attempt on him, and I mean, I'm still blown away by the entire thing. I mean, it was an inch from killing him. Only explanation is God wants him in the White House, in my opinion. So does anybody wonder whatever happened to Chuck Norris? I recently saw a video he made and I was legitimately impressed. He's in his 80s, he's staying active and somehow working out like crazy. He says that he's stronger than ever, has tons of energy to play with his grandkids, and he says he's done it by making one change. He made a video that explains everything. Make sure you go watch it once you're done watching this video. There's gonna be a link below the video. It's truly amazing what he's done in terms of how to stay fit at that old of an age and continue to have tons of energy. So finish this video up, then go down to the link below the video. Watch Chuck. It's truly fascinating. But there's some weird stuff that's gone on in terms of what is coming in terms of the inauguration. I figured I would just show it because it's pretty wild. Why don't we go over this first?
Breaking news regarding President Trump. President Trump's Inauguration Day parade is no longer taking place outdoors and is now going to be indoors due to quote-unquote cold weather. Americans are now concerned and worried because is there another reasoning that they're not telling us? Why out of nowhere is this event going to be taking place indoors? Inauguration Day is always in January. Every single president ever has had Inauguration Day in January besides Ronald Reagan. What else happened to Ronald Reagan? Something very similar to President Trump. So what's going on? A lot of people are very concerned about this. I seriously want to know like your guys' opinions on this because I'm very concerned about this. Saw the news and the way just they worded it, the way they're having press conferences about it, it's almost like, something is up. Someone knows something and I'm not just, it's not sitting right with me. I believe that the inauguration should be how it normally is, outdoors. And, if you have to put glass containers around the president to protect him, by all means, go ahead and do that. To cold weather is just, it sounds like an excuse. It sounds like an excuse that, and they're not telling us something. So I pray that President Trump is okay and is safely sworn in as the next president of the United States. I really hope so.
So I have to agree with this guy. I think it's pretty odd that they're moving it indoors. But if you think about it further, there are so many people out there who hate Trump. You just don't know where the threat would come from. It could be from a National Guard member. I mean, we know what's going on in our military right now. They got the LGBTQ plus surgeries going on.
We must set our sights higher and focus on intentional inclusivity because there are still far too many people out there, not just LGBTQ individuals, that feel marginalized, shut out, or discriminated against. So for all of you out there, I ask you to set out your symbols of pride, share your pronouns in your email, particularly if you're a person who doesn't think they need to.
One of them could infiltrate the whole deal. And if you just have a pane of bulletproof glass in front of them, what about the back? I mean, you pretty much have to have an octagon around them and then on top of them. But what kind of inauguration is that? So it kind of makes sense in terms of why they're moving it inside. But you have to think, if they're not even willing to do that, there must be a very credible threat that they're not telling the American public. They may not even have told Trump. Joe Biden is still in office. Let me remind everybody, Trump is not in office. He won, but he is not in charge of anything at the moment. Joe Biden and that whole crew, that is by all means not above par. So the fact that they're moving it inside, it's pretty obvious that there's something major going on. To be honest with you, I am a fan of them moving it inside. I know it's not standard procedure, but if it means keeping President Trump secure, who gives a fuck if it's outside or inside? I don't really care. Put it in a football stadium with a roof on it and have a metal detector for everybody who comes in. Here's some more. And this stuff is just as surprising.
Only 150 feet in the air, pilots dodge buildings.
And tower on your left side.
Flying in a grid over the National Mall to scan for radiological or nuclear irregularities, threats like dirty bombs.
So you're trying to create a blueprint of what the radiation in Washington, D.C. looks like ahead of the inauguration. Correct.
Department of Energy scientist Jacqueline Brandon calls this low-flying helicopter one of just 2 of its kind her office.
If we find a radiological irregularity, we'll investigate it even further.
Highly sensitive technology sets off alarms in the air.
That's an alarm. That is an alarm. It's a slight variation in our spectra is what it's saying.
On the ground, a mission led and meticulously rehearsed by the U.S. Secret Service at their training facility in Maryland. Agents role-playing worst-case scenarios.
Can we try a vehicle having a flat tire? Can we try someone having a heart attack? These are all the things we want to mentally prepare for because we have an immediate action for all those things.
Michael Thomas is the coordinator for the big day.
The amount of fencing and the amount of personnel that we bring in for this inauguration eclipses all other inaugurations that we have.
About 25,000 law enforcement and military personnel will safeguard the inauguration, including 7,800 National Guard authorized to protect the nation's capital and its 250,000 ticketed guests. Throughout the city, a ring of steel, 30 miles of anti-scale fencing. And along the icy Potomac, more than 25 Coast Guard vessels lined up.
Ready to deploy.
Ready to deploy.
So, I mean, if they're looking for nuclear and other threats, I mean, clearly there's something going on. It boggles my mind how they don't tell the American public. I mean, there are going to be a shitload of American citizens at the inauguration. I know several who are going to be there. Several who y'all probably watch, but they just don't tell anybody. They don't warn people. They don't say, okay, well, here are the warnings. And I think this is honestly pretty concerning, to be honest with y'all. I mean, I don't know. I just have a bad feeling about this. And you know where all of it stems from? It stems from the media. It stems from the media lying, telling you wrong things about Trump, telling the world wrong things about Trump. All I have to say is God bless Donald Trump. I hope he gets through this inauguration safely and fixes this country because we need it bad.